It was a muddy afternoon in the heart of Willow Creek, a black neighborhood on the edge of the city. After a long night of heavy rain, the streets were messy with puddles scattered everywhere. An elderly black man named Papa Elijah sat quietly on a worn-out wooden bench beside a local shop. His clothes were faded, his slippers nearly broken, but his spirit radiated peace. He had just finished sweeping the sidewalk in front of a small barbershop and was taking a moment to rest before heading home. Suddenly, the roar of an engine pierced the air. A sleek black Range Rover barreled down the narrow road. It didn't slow down. Instead, it cut right through a massive puddle. A wave of filthy, muddy water splashed violently onto Papa Elijah, soaking him from head to toe. His body jolted in shock, and he raised his hands to his face, trying to wipe the mess away, but it was too late. His shirt, trousers, and even his old slippers were now dripping with brown street water. People nearby gasped. Some stopped what they were doing to stare. One woman shouted, "Hey, you just soaked that man." The car didn't stop. It rolled forward a few meters, then finally came to a halt. The tinted window lowered slowly, and a cold female voice rang out. "You shouldn't be sitting so close to the road, old man. This isn't your village." Then the window went back up, and the Range Rover sped off. For a moment, there was silence. A young brother standing at the corner muttered, "Did she just say that?" His mouth hung open in disbelief. "Ain't no way," another woman said with disgust. "That was evil. She couldn't even say sorry." An older man asked, shaking his head, "That's too much." "But why Papa Elijah?" A teenager nearby said. "That man don't ever bother nobody." Papa Elijah, still drenched, slowly raised one hand. His voice was calm and low. "It's all right, let her go. God sees all, he'll handle it." The woman in the Range Rover, Vanessa, wasn't thinking about what she'd done. By the time she reached the luxury mall in the center of the city, the incident was already forgotten. She stepped out of her car in 6-inch heels and strutted into the glass-covered building like royalty. Her phone buzzed. She stopped, took a selfie with her designer sunglasses on, and posted it with the caption, "Only the strong walk over." The weak, Boss Queen energy. Within minutes, likes and comments flooded in. "Yes, Slay Queen. Teach these broke people how it's done." She smiled with pride. To her, that little puddle incident was nothing. Vanessa believed that poor folks didn't matter. No voice, no value, no reason to exist in her world. She built her life, stepping over those she thought were beneath her, and wore her pride like perfume. Back across town, Papa Elijah finally made it home. The contrast between how he looked and where he lived was sharp. He stepped into a grand, peaceful mansion, removed his wet slippers, and exhaled deeply. The living room was tastefully decorated, soft leather couches, African art on the walls, thick rugs that muted every footstep. Sitting on the couch, looking at his tablet, was his only son Jamal, a 36-year-old successful tech entrepreneur with sharp features, deep eyes, and a quiet demeanor. He looked up as his father walked in. "Papa, what happened to you?" Jamal asked, concerned. "You look like you got caught in a flood." Papa Elijah sat down carefully, shaking water off his sleeves. "Son, I saw the rudest woman today." "Jamal," sighed Papa again. "Why do you keep putting yourself in situations like this? Why are you out there, sitting on the street like you don't live in a house like this? You've got everything here. You don't need to be sitting outside, talking to strangers." Papa Elijah looked at his son with wise, patient eyes. "And I'll keep going out there, Jamal. I'm not done yet. Not until I find a woman worthy of your heart." Jamal dropped his tablet with a light thud. "Papa, again with this talk?" "Yes," Papa Elijah said firmly. "You're not a boy anymore. You're 36. You need a wife. Not a girl who wants your money, but a woman who will walk through life with you." Jamal rubbed his forehead. "Papa, I do have a girlfriend." The old man's back straightened. "You do?" Jamal nodded slowly. "Yeah, I've been seeing someone." "Then why keep it from me?" "I wasn't sure how serious it was, but since you're bringing it up again, I'll tell you. Her name's Vanessa. She's beautiful. Papa Elijah raised an eyebrow. Beauty is the easiest thing to find, son. What's she like on the inside? Jamal hesitated. She's rude, Papa, real rude. She talks down to people. She's flashy with money, always buying things she doesn't need. Design up this luxury that no sense of control, and she gets angry easily. Papa Elijah leaned back in his chair and took a slow breath. So, why are you still with her? I don't know, Jamal admitted. Maybe because I thought she'd change. Maybe because she's smart, and when she's not being loud, she's sweet. Sometimes the old man went quiet, then finally asked, does she respect you? Sometimes, does she respect herself? Jamal didn't answer. Papa Elijah nodded like he expected that. Son, listen to me. I've been around women my whole life. You can tell the true heart of a woman by how she walks, how she speaks, how she treats people who can do nothing for her. You don't need someone who brings fire into your house. You need peace. A woman who'll protect what you build, not waste it. I hear you, Papa. Good. Then bring her here. Let me see her. I'll know everything I need to know just by looking in her eyes. Let her come as she is. Don't warn her. I want to see the woman she truly is, not the one she performs in public. Jamal gave a reluctant chuckle. You want to test her? Papa Elijah shook his head. No, son. I want her to test herself. The next day, the sun was burning hot over Willow Creek. Papa Elijah sat quietly on a plastic stool outside a busy supermarket. He wore his usual simple clothes, and in front of him sat a small bowl for coins, not that he ever begged. He just sat there, still and calm, like he was part of the street. Some people dropped coins. Others didn't even look at him. He never asked. He just watched. Then, it happened again. That same black Range Rover screeched to a stop just feet away from him. Loud trap music blasted from the speakers. Out stepped Vanessa, heels clicking, dark shades hiding her eyes. She paused when she saw him, sneered, and stormed over. You again, she snapped. You, this old dirty-smelling man. You're still out here disgracing your generation. Papa Elijah didn't respond. You like sitting around like a goat, huh? Vanessa went on. You poor people have no shame. She didn't stop. Look at your crusty clothes, your dried-up face. Useless man, you must have been cursed. Still, Papa Elijah stayed silent. Calm/solid. You're the reason we're still behind in this country. Sitting on the street, waiting for people to help you, when you should just vanish. She spat near his feet, and turned to walk away. But that was when a young black woman with 2 grocery bags stepped out of the store. She paused, watched, and dropped her bags. That's enough, she said. Vanessa turned. And who are you? Someone who still has sense, the woman replied. Sharply, Vanessa laughed bitterly. Another poor rat, trying to play hero. You're insulting an old man who hasn't said a word to you, the woman said. What did he ever do to you? He exists, Vanessa snapped. That's what poor, dirty men like him don't deserve to be out in public. The young woman stepped forward. He's old enough to be your father. So. Vanessa rolled her eyes. Is he my father? Maybe yours. You look broke just like him. The young woman didn't flinch. Maybe he is. And even if he was, he's still more of a human being than you. Vanessa stepped closer. Do you know who I am? Do you know who my man is? I can get you locked up in 2 minutes. I'm not scared, the young woman replied calmly. Because I'm not the one out here showing off noise instead of character. Vanessa's lips curled. You're jealous. I'm clean. I'm classy. No, the woman said, you're just loud with lipstick. For the first time, Vanessa's face changed. Her confidence cracked. You dare talk to me like that? Yes, the woman said. Because clearly nobody ever taught you manners. You'll regret this, Vanessa growled. One day, the woman replied softly, this same man you insulted will be the one you'll bow to. Vanessa's fists shook. The woman pointed. Take your proud self out of here, red-faced. And silent, Vanessa turned, stormed into her car, slammed the door, and peeled off into the road like a storm. The young woman turned to Papa Elijah and bent slightly. "I'm sorry, sir." He looked up at her gently. "Thank you, my daughter." She smiled faintly. "I couldn't let her speak to you like that. No way," he nodded. "These days, most people just watch and walk away. But you stood up." She extended a hand. "I'm Mary," he smiled. "People call me Papa Elijah." Mary sat beside him. "Where do you stay, Papa?" He hesitated, then spoke softly. "I sleep in an abandoned shop near the edge of town. The owner lets me stay there sometimes. It keeps the rain out." Mary's face fell. "Oh, Papa, I'm sorry." He shook his head. "Don't be. Life has seasons. I may look poor, but I still have peace. You seem too wise to be out here like this. Life teaches you wisdom when you've lost everything," he said, with a faint smile. She looked at him closely. "Papa, I studied agriculture. One graduated last year, but no jobs. My parents are farmers back in the village. We struggle." He nodded. "You're doing your best." She looked around, then leaned in. "I was thinking, instead of just sitting here, maybe we can start a little farm. Even behind that shop you mentioned. It's not much land, but we can grow something. Tomatoes, peppers, okra. We eat some, sell some." Papa Elijah's eyes widened. "You want to help me farm?" "Yes, Papa," she said. "I have no money right now, but I've got strength. I can work. You shouldn't be begging for coins." He stared at her, deeply moved. "You don't know me. Why would you do this?" "Because you didn't deserve what she did. You said nothing. But I saw your spirit. That silence told me everything." He nodded slowly. "You're different." "I try. I'll think about it." "Mary, don't think too long," she joked. "We could start with just a basket of okra. Even that could bring peace." They both laughed softly. Mary picked up her bags and stood. "Okay, Papa, see you tomorrow." "I'll be here," he said. "Don't go missing." She walked off with a smile on her lips and purpose in her steps. Papa Elijah sat back, watching her. Something stirred in his chest, not shame, not sadness. Hope. He looked up at the sky and whispered to himself, "Lord, could she be the one?" That evening, Papa Elijah returned home. He stepped inside the big, quiet mansion, took off his shoes, and walked into the living room where Jamal was reading again. "Papa," Jamal said, looking up, "you look happy." Papa Elijah smiled, walked over, and sat down beside his son. "Jamal, today, I met a woman, the kind I've been waiting to meet for you." Jamal leaned forward slowly. "You met someone for me?" Papa Elijah nodded, his eyes glowing. "Yes, son, and I don't mean makeup and high heels. I mean a heart, a mind, a voice that speaks truth. A young black woman with the kind of spirit your mother had." Jamal tilted his head. "What happened?" "I was sitting outside that supermarket again," Papa Elijah began. "The same proud woman came, Vanessa. The one who drenched me in mud last week and acted like I was invisible. She showed up again, loud as ever, dragging her pride behind her like perfume. She insulted me right there on the sidewalk, called me dirty, called me a disgrace to our people. But this time," he paused. Jamal was listening now. "This time, someone stood up, a young woman. She didn't know me, she didn't owe me anything. But she stood up, sharp, fierce, but still respectful. Her words weren't loud, but they had power. She cut through Vanessa's pride like a blade of truth. Told her off, right there in public. Made that woman walk away in shame." Jamal blinked. "She did all that." "She did more than that," Papa Elijah sighed. "After the drama, she sat down beside me. No disgust, no fake kindness. She asked if I was all right. She spoke to me like I mattered. Then she offered to help. Me, help you, how?" Jamal asked, his voice quieter now. "She said she's an agriculture graduate. No job yet, but she offered to start a small garden with me. Behind the shop, I told her I sleep in." "You told her that?" Jamal said. Eyes wide, "Yes, and she didn't laugh. She didn't pity me. She just said, "Let's plant together, Papa. Let's grow food. Let's make use of our hands." That son, that moved me. Jamal leaned back, speechless. "She's real, Papa," Elijah continued. "She's gold. She may not have a big job or rich parents, but her spirit is more valuable than any bank account. I've seen many women, son, but this one. She reminded me what dignity looks like." Jamal rubbed his chin. "What's her name?" "Mary." Jamal repeated the name softly. "Mary." There was silence for a moment, then Papa Elijah spoke again. "Jamal, you said your girlfriend is coming to see me tomorrow, right?" Jamal nodded slowly, "Then let her come. Let me see her for who she really is. But I'll tell you this today, I already met the kind of woman a man should pray for." Jamal looked conflicted. "Papa, I hear you, I really do. But I've already made plans. Vanessa wants to meet you. She's expecting to be welcomed." Papa Elijah gave a small smirk. "Son, I will welcome the truth, not a performance. If she walks in this house with the same spirit she showed me out there, I will call it out." Jamal nodded slowly. "I respect that. I won't fake it," Papa Elijah said. "And I won't bless pride. You know what it did to our people back in the day, turned families into strangers." Jamal sighed, then whispered, "I think I already know what you're going to say." "No, son," Papa Elijah replied, "you don't. Because you still believe beauty can cover character. But beauty fades, pride destroys, and a loud woman in your house will turn peace into chaos. You want that?" "No, Papa. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for grace, for decency, for spirit. That's what builds a home." Jamal looked down. "When I was your age," Papa Elijah said, "I wanted to marry the finest girl in Jackson Heights. She had that skin that glowed and eyes that made brothers stutter. My mama warned me. She said, 'Elijah, beauty without patience will break your soul.' I didn't listen." Jamal raised an eyebrow. "What happened?" "She cheated. Spent every dime I made. Then walked away like I was nothing. Left me broken. That pain taught me what my mother already knew." He paused and smiled softly. "Then I met your mother. Not flashy, not loud, but her hands worked and her love healed. She built our family from the inside. And now, all I want is for you to find someone like that." Jamal swallowed, silent. "I'm not telling you who to love," Papa Elijah said, "but I will not stay silent if I see disrespect walk into my house. So let her come, I'll be watching." Jamal stood slowly. "You'll get your chance, Papa. Vanessa's coming tomorrow." Papa Elijah nodded, leaned back, and whispered, "We'll see." The next morning came fast. The sky over Willow Creek was bright, and the air was already warming up. Inside the mansion, Papa Elijah was up early. He had taken his bath, dressed in a fresh white tunic, and was sitting quietly in the living room. He looked combat inside. His thoughts were racing. His heart wasn't focused on the woman coming today. No, his thoughts were wrapped around one name, Mary. He could still hear her voice in his head. "Papa, I can help you." The softness, the strength, the honor. He smiled quietly to himself. Then footsteps echoed down the hallway. Jamal entered the room, his hands folded in front of him. "Papa and Jazz. Son, she's on her way." Papa Elijah didn't flinch. He looked straight ahead. "Let her come." Minutes passed, then the distant hum of a car entered the compound. Tires whispered over the smooth driveway. Papa Elijah didn't move. The door opened, high heels clicked on the tile floor, confident. Loud. Then the perfume followed, strong, sharp, expensive. Into the room walked Vanessa, draped in gold jewelry and carrying 2 luxury handbags. Her sunglasses stayed on. She looked around the mansion like she was inspecting a store. "This place is cute," she said with a fake smile. "Not as modern as my own home, but still cozy." Then her eyes landed on the man sitting calmly on the couch. She froze. Her lips parted. Her smile disappeared. Papa Elijah looked up at her, his face unreadable. Jamal stood between them, confused. Papa, this is I know who she is. Papa, Elijah said, cutting him off. Vanessa's lips trembled. Yes, he said. We've met before. Twice. Jamal turned to her, his brow tightening. Wait, you know my father? I didn't know it was him, Vanessa stammered. You didn't need to know, Papa, Elijah said. You only needed to show respect. Jamal turned sharply. What's going on? This is the woman who drenched me with muddy water, Papa Elijah sighed. This is the same woman who insulted me at the supermarket. Twice. Loud, disrespectful, cruel, and never once did she say sorry. Jamal's face changed, his jaw clenched. Is this true? Vanessa looked down, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't know he was your father. That's not the point, Jamal replied. Even if he were a stranger, is that how you treat people? I thought he was just a beggar, she began. He's a human being, Jamal snapped. That should have been enough. I didn't mean it like that. Papa Elijah stood slowly. You didn't mean it, but you said it. Twice. You spit on me with your words because I looked poor. But now, standing here, the same old man you shamed is the father of the man you claim to love. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. Please, sir, I'm sorry. He shook his head. No. You're sorry because of who I am. But you weren't sorry when you thought I had nothing. That's not kindness. That's convenience. Jamal stepped back, deeply hurt. You told me you were bold. You said you loved me. I do, she cried. No, he said sharply. You love yourself. Because a woman who truly loves me would respect my father, especially when she doesn't know he's mine. Vanessa dropped her purse. Please, Jamal, don't do this, but he turned away. Papa, I made a mistake. Vanessa turned to Papa Elijah, tears running down her cheeks. Please forgive me. He looked at her and said quietly, forgiveness is easy, trust is not. You had your moment to show character, and you chose pride. She sniffled. Can change. Good, he said. Start by changing how you treat people who can do nothing for you. She picked up her bag and left. No one stopped her. The room fell silent. Papa, Elijah, sat down slowly. Jamal stood still, his fists clenched. Papa, yes, that girl you told me about, Mary, what about her? Where is she now? Papa Elijah smiled gently. She's coming to see me tomorrow. At the supermarket, the next morning, Jamal left the house early. He didn't want a driver. No assistant. Just him and his thoughts. What had just happened with Vanessa played in his mind like a storm. He drove for nearly an hour before pulling over near a stretch of land behind a row of shops. The air was quiet. The sun was rising. Birds were chirping. He stepped out, breathing deeply. Then he noticed her. Ahead of him, near the soil, a young black woman stood holding a bag of seeds and a small hoe. Her hair was wrapped neatly. Her dress was simple. No makeup, no flash, but something about her felt real. She bent down, tested the soil with her fingers, then stood again. Jamal watched quietly. Her grace was unbothered. After a few moments, she looked up and noticed him. She smiled. Good morning. He smiled back. Good morning. She walked closer. Are you from around here? No, he replied. Just needed some air. Thinking, she nodded. Same, but I'm also planting you, he asked. Surprised, she laughed. Yes, why not? I studied agriculture. No job yet, but I've got hands and a back. Jamal smiled. That's rare. She extended her hand. I'm Mary, he shook at Jamal. They both smiled. She sat on a rock nearby. I'm helping someone, an old man. He doesn't have a real home, but he's wise. Reminds me of my dad. Jamal turned to her, heart tightening. Really? Yes. I met him yesterday. A woman insulted him badly, and I couldn't just stand by, so I stepped in. Then I found out, he doesn't beg, he just watches. Quietly. Jamal stared at her. You said you're helping him. Told him I'd help him start a garden, even if it's small. At least he'll have food. purpose, hope. Jamal sat back in silence. She kept talking, peaceful and humble. Too many people walk by others without seeing them. But he made me stop. His silence, it said everything. Jamal finally spoke. I wish more people thought like you, she laughed. We're out here, just hidden. He asked gently, what do you do besides farming? She shrugged, looking for work, but I can't sit and do nothing. That's not how I was raised. He nodded. I admire that. She looked at him. You look like someone with a lot on your mind. Jamal smiled. You have no idea. She stood. I have to start planting before the sun gets too wild. He stood with her. Can I help? She raised a brow. You, with your clean hands. I can learn. She smiled wide. All right, let's start with okra. And just like that, they began. 2 strangers, 2 stories, 1 patch of soil, a spark that would grow into something neither of them saw coming. It was late in the afternoon when Papa Elijah returned to his usual spot near the supermarket. The sun had shifted, casting long shadows across the pavement. He wasn't watching the street for coins or favors, he was watching for someone. His eyes were softer than usual, like he was lost in thought, remembering something good. He wasn't thinking about Vanessa, or even the drama she brought. He was thinking about Mary, her kindness, her courage, her words. They echoed in his heart, like a calm drum beat. Then a cheerful voice pulled him out of his thoughts. Papa. He looked up there she was Mary, walking toward him with that same confident stride. A small woven basket balanced on her arm. She reached him, sat down beside him like it was their regular routine, and opened the basket. I brought you something, she said, smiling. What's in there? He asked, already smiling back. Just some fresh vegetables and boiled groundnuts. It's not much. Papa Elijah looked inside and inhaled the earthy scent. It's everything. Papa, may God bless your hands, she added playfully. He chuckled. Amen, my daughter. They sat quietly for a moment, watching the cars pass and children chase each other in the distance. Then Mary leaned closer. Papa, I have good news. His eyes lit up. Tell me, I found land. You did? He asked, eyebrows raised. Yes, it belongs to my uncle. I told him what I wanted to do, and he said I could use part of it to plant. It's not big, but it's enough to start something small. Okra, ugu, peppers. Papa Elijah leaned forward. In excitement. Ah, this is good news, my daughter. This is very good. Mary nodded. So I was thinking we could go there tomorrow morning. Start clearing, get the soil ready. But Papa Elijah gently shook his head. No, Mary, we can't. Go to the farm tomorrow. Her brows furrowed. Why not, Papa? He smiled mischievously. Because you're coming to my house tomorrow? She blinked. Your house? Yes. She looked confused. But Papa, you said you sleep in a shop. He nodded, still smiling. I did. She raised an eyebrow. Papa, are you hiding something? I'm hiding peace, he said. Playfully, come tomorrow, you'll understand everything. She laughed. Papa, you're full of surprises. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small folded paper, and handed it to her. Here's the address. Don't be late. Mary took it, looked at it, then looked back at him. Now, I'm really curious. She paused, then added shyly, Papa, I also met someone today. Papa Elijah leaned in, who she smiled down at her lap. Just someone, a man. He's very handsome, kind, humble. He helped me carry the seeds. He made me laugh. I like him. Papa Elijah's eyes widened just slightly. Who could that be? I want to meet him. Mary laughed. Papa, it's not like that. We're just friends, for now. Papa Elijah raised a brow. Still, I'm your second father now. I must see this man with my own 2 eyes. She shook her head playfully. Papa, calm down, he chuckled. So we're seeing each other tomorrow. She hesitated. Yes, Papa, I'll come. Good, he said. She stood up. See you tomorrow. See you, my daughter. As she walked away, Papa Elijah whispered quietly to himself. Let tomorrow begin the truth. That evening, the big house was silent when he returned. He entered the living room, where Jamal was seated, scrolling through his phone, his face still carrying the weight of what had happened earlier with Vanessa. Papa Jamal called. Yes, son. Can I tell you something? Papa Elijah sat down calmly. Go on. I met someone today. A spark lit behind the old man's eyes. You did? Yes, a woman. But not like the others. She's beautiful, but she's not flashy. Intelligent, but calm. Strong, but soft. She was farming right there, under the hot sun. I've never seen a woman like that before. Papa Elijah leaned forward slowly. What's her name? Mary. The old man closed his eyes briefly. A long breath slipped out of his chest, like a sigh of joy. She's the first woman that's ever made me want to sit and listen without rushing, Jamal added. Papa Elijah opened his eyes and smiled. I would like to meet her. You will, Jamal said. Very soon. The old man leaned back and whispered in his heart, tomorrow, you'll meet her in the most unexpected way. The next morning, Mary stood in front of a tall black gate, clutching her simple brown handbag. In her other hand, she held the small folded address Papa Elijah had given her. She looked around the neighborhood, quiet, upscale, clean pavements, blooming bougainvillea. It didn't feel like anything she expected. She checked the number again. This place is too fine, she whispered to herself. Is this really where Papa lives? A security man stepped out of a side gate and looked her up and down. Yes, can I help you? Mary cleared her throat politely. I'm here to see Papa Elijah. He gave me this address yesterday. The man glanced at the paper and nodded. Wait here. Mary stood stiffly, heart beating fast. This couldn't be right. She had expected a small house or maybe a friend's apartment, not this. The walls were painted bright cream, the flowers were perfectly trimmed, and even the driveway smelled like new soap. Then the gate opened. Come in, the security man said. Mary stepped inside, her sandals tapping nervously. On the smooth tiled walkway, she stopped near the wide entrance, breath caught in her chest. Everything looked like a magazine. High glass windows, carved wooden doors, marble floors, silence wrapped around her like velvet. She took a deep breath, preparing to ask questions, but then she heard footsteps. She turned and froze. It was Jamal. The same man from the field. The one who helped her carry seeds. The one she smiled with, laughed with, thought about all night. He looked just as shocked. His lips parted, eyes wide. Mary. She blinked. Jamal, you live here. Before he could answer, another familiar voice came from behind him. My daughter. She turned and saw Papa Elijah walking toward her from the hallway, smiling warmly. Papa. She gasped. You live here? He nodded. She took a step back. But you told me you sleep in a shop. He chuckled softly. Yes, I did. She turned to Jamal, then back to Papa Elijah. Wait, you too, ah. Jamal stepped forward slowly. He's my father. Mary covered her mouth. No, this can't be real. Papa Elijah walked up to her gently. My daughter, I'm sorry for hiding the truth. But I needed to see something. I needed to see if your heart was real. Mary's eyes welled with tears. You were testing me. No, he said softly. I was watching. This world judges people by their clothes, their cars, their money. I wanted to know what you'd see when you looked at me with none of those things. Her voice cracked. I saw a man who needed respect. And that's exactly what you gave, he said, eyes warm. You didn't know who I was. You didn't know this house existed. But you gave kindness. That kind of heart, it's rare. Mary looked at Jamal and you knew, he shook his head. I met you by chance. I had no idea you were the same woman my father was talking about. I liked you from the moment I saw you. You were different. Mary swallowed hard. This is a lot. Papa, Elijah nodded. It is, but it's also good, because now the truth is clear. You weren't chasing wealth, You weren't performing. You were just being yourself. Mary looked down. I didn't do anything special. You did, Jamal said, his voice low. You were kind when no one was watching. That's powerful. Silence settled in the room like a blanket. Then Papa Elijah smiled. Mary, come inside. You're home now. She looked up at him, eyes still shiny. Are you sure? Jamal extended his hand. Yes, please. She took it. Together, they walked into the house. Not as strangers, but as something more, something true, something unexpected, yet deeply right. The living room welcomed them. Bright light poured in through the windows. Fresh flowers bloomed. On the table, Papa Elijah walked off quietly, leaving Jamal and Mary alone on the couch. They sat beside each other, neither rushed to speak. Then Jamal turned to her. Mary, she looked at him gently. I don't want to waste time. She stayed quiet, listening. I know we just met. I know this all feels sudden, but what I feel for you, it's real. From the moment we spoke, I felt peace. From the moment you touched the soil, I saw purpose. Mary's eyes didn't move. She heard every word. I love you, Mary. Not because you stood up for my father, not because you're beautiful, not because you helped plant okra, but because you reminded me what a real woman is supposed to be. She blinked, slowly. I want to marry you. Her lips parted, heart hammering in her chest. I'm not playing games, he continued. My father sees you. I see you, and, if you'll let me, I want to build with you. She took a deep breath. I love you too, she said quietly. From the first time we met in that field, I felt safe. They both smiled. Then Mary grew serious. But there's something I have to do first. Jamal leaned in. What is it? I have to go to the village. To tell my parents, he nodded slowly. But she wasn't finished. They live there. In the same mud house I grew up in. They've worked their whole lives. They deserve to know before anyone else. Jamal sat up straighter. Her words moved through him like fire. No, he said firmly. That can't continue. She looked confused. What do you mean? My parents-in-law cannot live in the village while I live in a mansion. That's not how I was raised. That's not how I love. Her eyes widened. I've got more than one house in this city. I'll give them one. Let them rest. Let them be honored. Your parents are now mine too, and they've suffered enough. Mary's hands trembled. Her voice cracked. You'd do that for them? He reached over, gently wiping the tear from her cheek. Mary, I'm not just marrying you. I'm marrying your story, your family, your roots. If I honor my own father, I must honor yours too. More tears fell, but this time she didn't wipe them, she let them roll, because for the first time in her life, someone had spoken to her. Spirit and, not just her skin, news spread across Willow Creek like wildfire. Jamal Carter, the quiet, wealthy tech mogul, was getting married. But not to a socialite. Not to a celebrity. Not to anyone on the elite guest list of the city's black high society. He was marrying a woman named Mary Aduka Simple. Respectful woman who wore her strength quietly and her heart proudly. People were stunned. Some whispered behind closed doors, others praised him loudly for choosing character over class. But no one was more furious than Vanessa. She heard the news while getting her nails done at a luxury spa. Wait, what did you just say? Vanessa snapped, nearly spilling her mimosa. The girl beside her smirked. Jamal's engaged. To that girl, what's her name? Mary. I heard she's from a village, real humble type. Vanessa's jaw tightened. Her acrylics dug into the velvet armrest, her heart thundered in her chest. He can't do this to me. Without another word, she stormed out of the spa, high heels clicking like thunder. She jumped into her car and slammed the door shut. That night, Vanessa's rage simmered until it boiled over. She picked up her phone and called. Someone she hadn't spoken to in years, a rugged man known only on the street as Skolo. He answered, his voice low. It's me, Vanessa said, her voice cold. I need something handled. Quietly. What is it? Skolo asked, already wary. I want you to plant hard drugs inside Jamal Carter's office. Once they're in, we'll call the cops. He'll be arrested, humiliated, finished." Scolo didn't respond. "And there's more," Vanessa added, her voice now icy. "That girl Mary, and that crusty old man she calls father-in-law. I don't ever want to see their faces again." "You serious?" Scolo asked. "Dead serious," Vanessa hissed. "Make sure she never wakes up. And as for him, just make it look like a heart attack. They're both in the way. I want them gone before the wedding." She hung up without giving him a chance to reply. What Vanessa didn't know was that Scolo, the same man she had tried to hire for destruction, had a history with Jamal Carter. A deep one. Years ago, when Scolo's sister was jobless and desperate, no one in the city would even give her an interview. No one, except Jamal. He gave her a job. Not just any job, but a meaningful one. He helped her get an apartment, paid their mother's medical bills when she was dying, even gave Scolo's family money to avoid being evicted. That night, Scolo sat alone, staring at the ceiling. "You want me to destroy the man who saved my family?" he whispered to himself. "Never." He picked up his phone and called Vanessa back, but this time, he hit record. When she answered, her voice was eager. "Yes. Tell me the plan again," he said. "I need every detail." Vanessa laughed wickedly. She spilled everything about the drugs, the framing, the hit on Mary, the threat to Papa Elijah. Her voice dripped with venom. She spoke like a woman without conscience. When the call ended, Scolo saved the recording. The next morning, he walked into Jamal Carter's office. Jamal was in the middle of reviewing wedding arrangements, suit fittings, and final guest lists. "Sir, I need 10 minutes, Scolo said, standing in the doorway. Jamal looked up, puzzled. "Do I know you? You helped my family years ago. You saved my sister. I'm here to return the favor." Jamal set down his tablet. "Go ahead." Scolo pulled out his phone, hit play, and placed it on the desk. As Vanessa's voice poured out, Jamal froze. She spoke without restraint, confessing the plan to frame him, to have Mary harmed, and to finish Papa Elijah like he was nothing but trash. Her words echoed like bullets in the quiet room. By the time it ended, Jamal had both hands over his face. "She really said all that?" "She meant every word," Scolo confirmed. Jamal looked up, his eyes stormy. "You just saved our lives." "No," Scolo said, "I just paid back a debt." That afternoon, the police moved swiftly. Vanessa was arrested while showing off a new designer outfit at an upscale brunch downtown. "What's the meaning of this?" she shrieked as handcuffs clicked onto her wrists. "You are under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to frame, and plotting harm against an elder," the officer said, in court. Vanessa tried to play innocent. "I don't know what anyone's talking about," she sniffled. "I've never said such things." But the judge was already nodding to the court officer. He pressed play, and the courtroom filled with her voice, arrogant, cold, cruel. "I want that girl out. Forever. I want the old man dead. I want Jamal buried in scandal." People in the courtroom gasped. Even Vanessa's lawyer went quiet. When the recording stopped, silence fell. Vanessa's eyes brimmed with tears. "I was drunk. I was angry. It was the devil." The judge didn't blink. "The devil didn't hold your phone. You did, and you made your heart known." Her sentence was swift. 15 years, no bail. Number 4. Mercy. Back at the mansion, Jamal told Mary everything. She listened in horror. "She wanted me dead," she whispered. Jamal pulled her close. "That could have been the end of us. But it wasn't," she said, tears in her eyes. "No," he replied, "because good people still exist. People like Scolo, people like you." That weekend, Jamal and Mary traveled to her home village as they stepped out of the black SUV. Mary's parents stood waiting, her mother in a faded wrapper, her father leaning on his cane. Jamal walked up, bent his knees, and touched the ground. In front of them, "I want to marry your daughter," he said, voice steady. "And from today, I want you to leave the village. Come live in the city. I've already prepared a house. You've worked too hard. Now it's time for you to rest." Mary's mother began to cry. Her father lifted both hands and blessed him. On the spot, that same month, Jamal and Mary were married in a beautiful, joyful ceremony. No glamour for show, just warmth, community, music, and love. After the wedding, they flew away for a quiet honeymoon, on a peaceful beach, barefoot in the sand. Jamal looked at her and smiled. "I still can't believe this is real," Mary whispered. He held her hand. "It's real," he said softly, "and it's forever." The wedding had ended, but the joy was just beginning. Back in Willow Creek, the community was still talking about it the way Jamal Carter, the city's quiet billionaire, chose love over luxury, spirit over status. His wedding to marry a duke wasn't just an event, it was a statement. A reminder that real love still lived among black kings and queens. There were no trending hashtags, no influencer takeovers, no celebrity guest lists, just soul food, music, family, and the kind of love that made elders cry and children dream. The reception was held outdoors under golden lights strung across the Carter estate. Black aunties danced barefoot to old-school Afrosoul, while uncles clapped in rhythm. Mary's parents, now glowing with pride, sat front and center in new traditional outfits Jamal had custom-made for them. Her father's eyes stayed glassy with tears. Her mother, for the first time in years, laughed without worry in her chest. Papa Elijah sat nearby, quietly sipping ginger tea, watching everything unfold. His eyes followed his son and Mary as they moved through the crowd like harmony, and deep in his heart, he knew he had done the right thing. Later that evening, under the golden shimmer of lanterns, Jamal pulled Mary aside to the edge of the garden. The music faded behind them. It was just the two of them now, and the smell of rain-soaked earth. He turned to her slowly. "Mary," she smiled. "Yes, my husband." Those words made his chest rise with pride. "I want to build more than a house with you. I want to build a life, a legacy, a home filled with peace." Mary reached up and touched his face gently. "And I want to carry your name with honor. But not just your name, your spirit, your people, your story." Jamal looked into her eyes. "I used to think love was supposed to come dressed in wealth and beauty. But you came with dirt on your hands and power in your voice." She smiled through her tears. "You didn't marry a princess, Jamal." "No," he said. "I married a queen." They kissed beneath the stars, no audience, no cameras. Just wind and truth. The next morning, they boarded a flight to a quiet beach town Jamal had chosen. No luxury resort. Just a private bungalow by the sea. No schedule, just sun, water, and time. They spent their days barefoot, hand in hand. Mary wore long sundresses and wide-brimmed hats. Jamal walked shirtless across the sand, teasing her every time she blushed. They cooked together, danced in the kitchen, talked about their childhoods, their scars, their hopes. One evening, as the sun melted into the ocean, Mary stood ankle in the water, staring out at the horizon. Jamal came behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded, just overwhelmed. "This all feels like a dream." He kissed her shoulder. "Then let's never wake up." She turned in his arms. "Promise me something, anything. No matter what happens, money, no money. Business, no business. Let's keep our love like this, simple, honest, grounded." Jamal held her tighter. "I promise." That night, as they lay together, with the sea breeze slipping through the open windows, Mary whispered something she'd never said before. "Prayed for you." Jamal opened his eyes. "What? I didn't know your name. I didn't even know if you existed. But back in my village, when I had nothing, and the nights felt too long, I asked God to send me a man who would see my worth. Not my waist, not my looks, my worth." Jamal's throat tightened. "And now," she said softly, "here you are." He pulled her close, his voice cracking. "And here, I'll stay." Back in the city, Papa Elijah was planting okra behind the mansion. Yes, the farm Mary had dreamed of was real now. A patch of earth beside the estate was turned into a small garden. Rich red soil, neat rows, tender green shoots, pushing through like little miracles. The mansion staff watched in awe as the old man dug with steady hands, singing Yoruba hymns. Under his breath, neighbors passed by and nodded with respect. "Look at that," one of them said. "That old man still works like the land owes him money." But what they didn't know was this. Papa Elijah wasn't farming just for vegetables. He was farming gratitude, he was farming peace, and every time he watered a seed, he thought of Mary, of the girl who gave him dignity when he had nothing, of the daughter who turned into a blessing. 2 weeks after their honeymoon, Jamal and Mary Carter returned to the city. But they didn't go straight home. Instead, they drove directly to the quiet village where Mary had grown up. The same village where her mother had taught her to fetch water before sunrise, where her father had farmed through storms and sun with calloused hands and quiet pride, where barefoot children still ran through dusty paths, laughing like the sky belonged to them. As they pulled into the family compound, the neighbors rushed out. People stared, whispers echoed, "Is that Mary? She's come back." And "That's her husband, yes." But this time, Mary wasn't carrying a sack of yams or selling tomatoes at the roadside. She stepped out of the sleek black SUV, in a flowing African dress, her hair wrapped in a rich golden scarf, and beside her stood Jamal in a clean linen shirt, carrying a basket of gifts. His presence calm, but powerful. Mary's parents rushed out, beaming. Her father embraced her tight, and her mother burst into tears. "You came back," her mother said, holding her face. "You didn't forget us." "Never, Mama," Mary whispered, "never." Then Jamal knelt right there in the village dust, with his white clothes already stained at the knees. "I came to honor the 2 people who raised the woman I love," he said. "And to tell you I'm not only taking Mary into my home, I'm taking you both too." Mary's father stood stunned. "What? What do you mean?" "I've prepared a house in the city," Jamal explained, "fully furnished, peaceful, safe. From today on, you will rest, no more farming, no more struggle." Her mother gasped. "We can't leave the land. It's all we've ever known." "You've done your part," Jamal said. "Now let me do mine." Neighbors gathered, some in disbelief, others smiling, nodding. Mary's father lifted both hands. "May the God of the ancestors bless you, my son. May your name rise above the mountains. May your home never know sorrow." Tears rolled down Mary's cheeks. This was what she'd dreamed of, not just love, but healing. Not just a husband, but a home. They spent the night in the village, not as guests, but as legacy returned. Jamal sat by the fire with the elders, listening to their stories. Mary helped her mother cook one last meal in the clay kitchen. That night, laughter poured from their compound like river water. The next day, they all left together. Her parents rode in the backseat of Jamal's SUV, wide-eyed and silent, like they'd been carried into a dream. As the village disappeared behind them, Mary reached over and squeezed Jamal's hand. He smiled. "This is only the beginning." Back in Willow Creek, preparations were underway. Papa Elijah had converted a corner of the estate into a community garden, not just for vegetables, but for teaching. Young boys and girls came after school to learn how to plant, water, and harvest. The soil was alive with growth. The garden became a place of laughter, stories, and purpose. Jamal walked out one morning to see his father crouched beside a row of lettuce, talking to a 10-year-old boy about roots. He smiled and shook his head. "Papa, you've started your own school." Papa Elijah stood up, brushed his hands together, and said, "This land doesn't need more apps, it needs more heart. These kids will remember how to grow long after they forget how to scroll." They both laughed. Meanwhile, Mary transformed the guest house into a healing center for women, a quiet space for those coming out of abusive relationships or poverty. She taught them how to sew, how to farm, how to read contracts, how to pray. Without shame, she didn't need a microphone. She used her hands. One afternoon, as Mary was helping a young mother carry boxes into the center, she paused outside and looked at the mansion, the garden, the sunlight bathing everything in gold. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Lord. You didn't just give me a husband, you gave me a purpose." That night, after dinner, Jamal and Mary sat on the back porch. The stars above them flickered like secrets. "I've been thinking," he said. "About what? Our future." She turned to him. "What do you see?" He looked straight ahead. "I see children running across this lawn. I see our parents, sitting in rocking chairs, smiling. I see you teaching, building, leading." She smiled. "And you. I'll be beside you, always. You gave me vision, Mary. You turned my mansion into a home." They sat in silence. Then she whispered, "Let's build an empire of kindness." He nodded, one seed at a time. Months passed. The Carter estate had changed. Not in marble or money, but in meaning. Every corner of the home carried life. Now, the once quiet halls echoed with laughter, prayer, music, and healing. What started with one old man pretending to be poor had grown into a legacy that would stretch generations. Papa, Elijah, once mistaken for a beggar, was now a community elder. Young people came just to sit with him. His wisdom filled notebooks, and his stories shaped futures. And every time someone asked how this all began, he would smile and say, "It started with mud and silence." In the garden, okra bloomed in thick clusters. Tomatoes climbed wooden stakes. Rows of greens waved like blessings. And the kids, they didn't just learn how to plant, they learned how to grow with honor. Meanwhile, Mary's Women's Center had become more than a safe space. It became a movement. Black women who had once been invisible now walked into interviews with confidence. Mothers who had no hope were now starting home businesses. Girls who had been told they were worthless were now leading workshops and lifting others up. Mary stood at the center of it, all humble, glowing, rooted. And Jamal. He expanded his company's outreach, launching a program that hired young black men and women from underserved communities. No longer just a billionaire, he was now a builder of people. One Sunday morning, as the sun rose gently over Willow Creek, the family gathered on the front porch. Papa Elijah was seated in a wooden chair, a cup of mint tea in his hand. Mary sat beside Jamal, her belly round with new life. Yes, they were expecting. Papa Elijah placed a gentle hand on her stomach and whispered, "A new seed." They all smiled. "You're going to be a grandpa, Papa," Jamal said. Again, the old man grinned. "And this time, I'll be around to teach them how to pull weeds and plant purpose." Mary leaned on her husband's shoulder. "What do you want to name her?" Jamal looked at her, double quotes, "Elijah, ... if it's a boy, and if it's a girl." Grace Mary nodded, "Because that's what saved us." He kissed her forehead. "Exactly. Just." Then, a car pulled up. It was Mary's parents, stepping out of their new car, smiling like they'd never known struggle. Her father waved a walking stick in the air. "I heard my grandchild's coming soon." They laughed and gathered around. Food was laid out. Gospel hummed through the outdoor speakers. The smell of jollof and grilled fish filled the air. But it wasn't about food or music. It was about family, about redemption, about how a man dressed in rags, sitting on a bench with nothing, ended up rebuilding an empire on the backs of humility and love. As the sun rose higher, Papa Elijah stood slowly and looked out over the garden. The porch, the laughter. He whispered under his breath, "Lord, I was only trying to find a wife for my son, but you gave me a daughter, and you gave us all something richer than gold piece."